After some uncertainty, the Obamacare repeal in the U.S. Senate is dead again. Republicans totally unable to unite behind a plan to get rid of the Affordable Care Act after threatening to do it, promising to do it for most of Barack Obama's presidency. We saw Republican Susan Collins, Republican Lisa Murkowski, and of course, Republican Senator John McCain vote against the repeal. Trump saying that the three had let the American people down. The last iteration that they tried was what's being called a skinny repeal. The skinny repeal would have led not to the reduction in obesity rates, as the word skinny might suggest, but rather it would have led to 16 million people losing health insurance by 2026, as well as an increase in premiums of 20% above and beyond the current projections. Senator John McCain, recently diagnosed with brain cancer, has been getting a ton of attention around his vote against this. And Mike Pence was seen talking to McCain for about 20 minutes right before the vote. But then McCain went over to a group of Democrats who all seemed thrilled to see him walk over. And ultimately, McCain voting against this repeal. Now, I get that McCain's vote was somewhat of a surprise. But I think people are going a little overboard, Pat, in calling McCain the hero here. I mean, Collins and Murkowski are just as responsible for this as McCain. All of the other Democrats onto which these three Republican votes were added to are just as responsible for this as is John McCain. And by the way, what about the people that created Obamacare, including the former president, Barack Obama? Yeah, John McCain has somewhat of a conscience, and that does distinguish him from a lot of the Republican Party right now, but it doesn't make him the savior here.
Well, sure, but I think we knew that all 48 Democrats would vote against any Obamacare repeal efforts. And as far as Republicans are concerned, I mean, Susan Collins and Lisa Murkowski were pretty certain no's as well. We just didn't know which moderate was going to join them, if any, if it was going to be McCain or Capito or Heller.
But that's
and you
my
needed
point.
Someone.
That's my point, which is while it was surprising and sort of unknown until the last moment, it's not any more heroic. And what I'm thinking about more and more is Joe Biden reportedly lobbied John McCain before this vote, which is interesting. And I believe it's time for John McCain to leave the Republican Party, not because he's some progressive panacea, but because he's just not radical enough to be in the Republican Party. There's lots of center right in the Democratic Party right now. And John McCain once considered leaving the Republican Party. I don't think there's really much of a place for McCain in the Republican Party right now.
Well, it seems like a lot of Republicans voted for this knowing that it would never actually be signed into law because the next step would be to join it with the House bill in conference. But I think McCain was concerned because the House could just pass the skinny bill as well. And then that goes to the president's desk. And he didn't want that to happen. So in that regard, I think he did stand on principle here.
Well, that principle, to whatever extent it was heroic, as it's being portrayed by some, did lead to the situation we have now. And the next question is what next, right? Obamacare seems sort of like it's not just this thing, but it's part of our healthcare system now. It's not some crazy appendage. It's been around for 7 years. It's by and large, furthering the same for-profit insurance system that we have, but it did some good things. Trump and the Republican establishment are really the losers here, and now they will do everything they can to make Obamacare fail. We might have news about that in the next day or two. Obamacare is not in a death spiral. It's having the exact same issues that all of health insurance is, which is rising premiums, people who still can't afford care. There's nothing particularly disastrous about Obamacare. It sucks like our entire healthcare system sucks, just in slightly mitigated ways by increasing the risk pool and increasing some subsidies. So what's next for Trump? Obamacare repeal is dead. The travel ban is in limbo at best. Tax reform is on the back burner for now, although some Republicans are saying that's what they want to get back into next. The wall with Mexico is laughable, and Trump's new NAFTA deal is really similar to the TPP proposal that Donald Trump was against. I genuinely don't know what's next here, which is why, and we're going to talk about North Korea more in the next segment, which is why I am worried that 6 months into his presidency, Trump is a pseudo lame duck. And what now could happen is an erratic or desperate move to get himself involved in a military escalation. The top candidate right now would be North Korea. Syria is a possibility. Iran is a possibility. And that's why I'm really scared about the next 6 months for Trump.
That is interesting, especially because it feels as if Democrats are trying to run out the clock and succeeding in doing so already a quarter of the way to the midterms. And you think about what issues he might be able to win on. Not many, because a lot of these bills you can't just hide in budget reconciliation. You need 60 votes for, say, tax reform.
Correct.
I think the move here is maybe to go for infrastructure, because you can get Democrats on board with that as well.
Maybe, and Trump does want to do it in a totally sort of crony capitalistic way with handouts to all his construction and real estate buddies. But if Democrats can get some compromise on some issues that they want, pet projects, whatever, then that could be a possibility. Trump is going to need to rebuild his influence and credibility now, particularly if Jeff Sessions goes. And one of Trump's last links to the mainline Republican Party is Sessions right now. So what happens if and when Sessions goes? And this is why I'm worried that this could push Trump into haphazard and very erratic action with maybe the top candidate, North Korea, if not Syria or Iran. And we'll talk about that a little bit later in the program. I'm on Twitter at @dpakman. Follow me there. Send me your thoughts there. We'll be back after the break. Today's program is made possible in part by Blue Apron, the #1 fresh ingredient and recipe delivery service in the country. For under $10 a meal, they deliver seasonal recipes with pre-portioned ingredients right to your door. I've been cooking with Blue Apron now for over a year, and I love it, and I love not wasting food. I don't have to figure out what to do with that extra package of cilantro. They send me the exact amount of cilantro that the recipe calls for, no waste at all. It's also completely flexible, so you can customize your recipes each week depending on your diet. You can choose delivery options that fit your needs. And they have the Blue Apron Freshness Guarantee, which promises every ingredient arrives ready to cook, or they will make it right for you. Some of the meals available in the coming month include basil pesto chicken with summer vegetable panzanella, sautéed shrimp and green beans with globe tomatoes, spinach, and orzo pasta, whole grain pasta, and summer vegetables with heirloom tomato caprese salad, and miso butter salmon and lo mein noodles with cucumber and charm tomatoes. You can check out this week's menu, get your first 3 meals free with free shipping by going to blueapron.com/Pakman. Support our sponsors and support the David Pakman Show. 3 meals free with free shipping at blueapron.com/PAKMAN.